Okay, so you would have seen me stripping everything apart. Came apart pretty easy, one bolt a little bit stuck, but other than that it's fine. Back of the car is in pretty good shape, but let me show you what we're dealing with in the boot. We have a small little hole right there. See a little bit of daylight through, it's not bad. We have, where did I spy the other one? There's a bunch there, you can see that's where the spare wheel will bolt in. That's actually the 3 places where that whole thing spot welds in, and then we have, I don't know what that's supposed to be, like a bung or something of some sort. And then there's a tiny little drain hole that I put in there. I'm going to leave that in it. There's the same here, and I believe oh yeah, there's another one just there. I can't remember if I had any this side. Yeah, there's one right there. So I'll leave all of those there, but the primary focus is going to be that spot there and a little bit over there. It's not actually that bad. I pictured it worse in my head, but I haven't really, yeah, I knew there was another little drain hole somewhere. I hadn't really thought about it much, so I don't know whether or not to just cut out that entire square. I just put a flat piece in it. Realistically, that's probably what I'm going to do, but the floor has a lot of shapes to it, so I guess it might be piece by piece by piece. I don't know yet. The other thing is this stuff. I guess I'll just have to get the wire wheel or even the chisel on the air hammer and just see how much of that I can get up and get out of the way, but I don't see it being too big of an issue. I guess I'm not going to go into as much detail in this video as I did with part 1, because it's basically the same thing. So oh yeah, the other sections we have to deal with is, this is where the back light sits, and that's the, I guess, channel or whatever you call it there. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do there, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. And then I have spots all along here. Now I do have, wherever I put it, I have that entire section. That's where the backlight will go, and that's all the way down along the boot lid off the donor car, which is in better shape but still not perfect shape. It might be a case, I really don't know, of either cutting out that whole piece and putting in the bit off the donor car, or else just chopping sections, like say that bit there, like chop the whole thing right across there and make sure I fit it in with the light and tack it in and then work it from there or something. I'm not entirely sure yet, or else it'll just be chopping and making little plates and stuff. I'm not entirely sure, but as I said, I won't be doing too much detail in this one, but as things go, I'll check in now and then. Right, so those holes there are done. It ain't pretty by any means. It kind of, the more I went at it, the bigger the hole got, and that's what she said. No, it worked out okay, but wasn't fantastic. That one was another fucking shit show. That was just a hole that was literally, you know, that big, like the width of a screwdriver. Every time I went near it, just it got bigger and bigger and bigger. So I figured I just cut my losses. You know, I cut out a square, tried to attack it in. Same thing kept happening. So what I ended up doing was, as you can see there, just cut out a square, like way bigger, spot welded it on in a bunch of places, put a shitload of seam sealer around it. I ended up having to do the same thing down there. It only occurred to me after I had welded in that circle piece. You can probably buy that fucking little bung thing new, and lo and behold, you can. It's like £6, but I have it done now. So let me grab a light and I'll show you underneath if I have any light that's still working. Yeah, you can see right there, that's the underneath of where the drain bung thing was, and the few other holes that are there. Got a couple of burns where I put in the what do you call it, the little mount for the spare wheel, and then that is the other square there. It's not pretty by any means, but it's full of seam sealer, and when I put more of that body seal over it, it should be fine. So, like, I don't know, today just wasn't a great day. I realistically should have quit when I started blowing holes and everything, and just walked away and came at it another day, but fuck it. So other bits that got repaired, little gap that was there, same, that piece was all missing. Straightforward enough. I was going to just cut like a flat piece out of that, weld a flat piece on, and then just put the 90 degrees lip on it, but didn't really end up, well, that one might, I'm not sure because it's a bit bigger. That one was pretty small. So next thing to tackle is that one there and these two here. That one's going to be kind of difficult, I'd say, on both sides, because it has that curve to it. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do there. But like I said before, that might be a case of chopping out the piece out of like the bit from the donor shell, and weld that in. But the way things was going today, blowing holes and stuff, it could be a nightmare, but we'll see what happens anyway. Okay, it's been a couple of days. I'm back again. I didn't get anything else done since the clip that you just seen. Excuse me. So the plan is, I've marked out those sections I was talking about today. I just cut a rectangle, or marked a rectangle there, marked that shape there to cut around. Same up here. I'm probably not going to cut as far as all that, but I'm just giving it a wide berth, so to speak. And then all the same down here. And I think rather than trying to like make all of that, I think I'd be killing myself trying to do it. What I'm going to do, and you can see for example here, is I've marked the same piece, which is in, well, very good condition. I'll give that a little clean up before I cut it, but I may not even need that section. I'm going to cut that piece. Now it is double skinned. There's nothing in between those two skins. It's literally just pinched to there, and it's spot welded back there. You can see one or two of the spot welds just right there. So providing I cut that, you know, to take my time and cut it right so I don't have bits hanging off it, I'm going to cut that entire section off straight across there, bring it over here, offer it up to that, mark that, cut it correctly, and then just butt weld it in there, I suppose, and see what happens. Same for that section there. I don't know what I'll do there, because that same piece is kind of rusty on the other one, but I don't think it'll be a big deal to just make, like I said earlier, like a flat piece and put a lip on it or whatever. And then that entire piece, instead of doing two separate sections, I'm going to cut all of that, take out this, get this section done as well, cut it back as far as there. Again, this could be, you know, will be changed as we go along. It mightn't be exactly as much of this is what's getting cut out, but I'm just trying to kind of cut it in the flattest, like straightest, easiest spaces, as opposed to trying to cut, say, like around this kind of body line and, you know, really thin, or that edge there or whatever, you know, and trying to cut, you know, just in around here. I'm just trying to kind of make it as few cuts and straight cuts as I can, like just straight across, as opposed to having, you know, going a little bit this way, up around the body line, back to, you know, just shit like that. So that's the plan for now, I think. So cut those, mark out the same sections on that piece from the donor car and start cutting. Right, that worked out better than I thought, to be fair. So I have the donor piece cut out of this guy. I had it marked, you know, I put a bit of marker, scribed on it. I've cut just the mil or mil and a half inside the original piece. That is the original piece that was rusted, to be fair. I didn't need to go anywhere near as far out as I did there, but sure, you'd no way of knowing that without actually doing it. It's not actually, like, I expected all back here to be really rusty and, you know, not just where the holes are, so I'm kind of surprised. Might have been an easier repair just to patch those if I'd known, but sure, as I said, Howard, you'd no way of knowing because you can't see in there. But anyway, the rest of in there is really, really tidy, very nice. So the next step now is to take my take my donor piece, offer it up in there. Fits pretty nice, you know, it still needs trimmed and all that, and start tacking that in. It shouldn't be too big of a deal, I'd say. Wish me luck. Right, here's the finished piece, offered in. It looks fucking good to me. So it sticks out ever so slightly on that inner skin just there, but that can be just trimmed a little bit. It's not flush the whole way around on the rest of the car anyway, so I'm not too worried about that. So what I've done, it's kind of hard to explain. I don't want to take it out again now because I have it fitting really nice. What I've done is where I cut it on the original car, I left that like half a mil or even a mil on it, and what I've done is I've gone around with the hammer on the hole on the edge of the body of the car, say, and just kind of tapped it in so it's kind of folded back in on itself, like, so you have the new piece offered up this way, and then the original car comes along, meets it, and kind of just pushes in just a littlest bit. I hope that you can kind of grasp what I'm saying. So it gives me somewhat of a backing, if that makes sense. Even just, I know we have a bit of an air gap there, but it just needs to be pushed in when I'm welding it. So it should, instead of just trying to get it perfect and butted right up against each other, which has only done, all that's done for me really is made me blow holes through things. So I'm just going to try this as an experiment, I suppose, and see if it helps. So now or never, I guess. That didn't go that bad. Not bad at all. I would give it a solid C+, or maybe just a C. Bit heavy in some parts, but cleaned it up with the the die grinder and the belt sander. Now it's a lot of low spots in there. My idea of kind of pushing the original material back and kind of using it as a bit of a backing, I guess it just, I don't know, didn't really work, or else just as that heated up it pulled away from me or something. But again, primer and fucking a little bit of filler will be fine. Well, that's under the seal anyway, and the light comes as far as roughly there. So really, you know, the seal will be about to there, and then the light will be about to there. So you're only really going to see roughly that section there, which should be fine. But anyway, I cleaned it down as best I could. I wasn't going trying to get it all completely flush and trying to get in there and everything, but got in there as best I could with the die grinder, and I'm going to stick a bit of primer over it now and just see how it looks. As one of the lads said to me before, was it a grinder and paint makes you the welder you ain't? So let's see if it's true. Okay, that piece is going back as much as I can be bothered to grind it back. Primed, looks alright. Like I said, with the light in and the seal in, I think it'll be fine. While I was at that, I carried on and went down here. The original piece is pieces. One of them was there, that was sitting just there, and then wherever the other piece is gone, but that was the piece that had the hole there. So I cut the section out of the donor piece and welded it. Again, it's not pretty by any standard, but it's in there and there's no holes in it, or at least not that I can see. But again, it'll be covered by a seal and shit like that, so I'm sure it'll be fine. And there's a big trim that covers all of that there, so I'm not so worried. So I'll carry on with this guy next, and then this is the one that's kind of scary, but I guess we'll see what happens. Right, I've that bit done, the flat bit at least. Anyway, the lip there was completely gone. I didn't fancy trying to say cut a flat piece, bend it up, bend it 180 back down, and then bend it out again, if that makes sense. And that same section in the donor piece was fucked as well. It could have made a different piece work, but fuck it. It's easier just to chop it down there, put a flat bit across. So what I'm doing now is I've cut this piece and I've just kind of cut a groove into it so it'll sit down there pretty nice, and then I'm going to spot weld it through there on both sides and then just lock the excess off, and it should be fine. I guess like that 0.8 material is probably near enough the same as what they would be when they're kind of sandwiched together anyway, so even if it's not, I'm sure it'll be alright. Well, that went pretty smooth if I say so myself. Came out grand, just put loads and loads of tacks across there. Same on the other side. I didn't grind them back the whole way. I don't think there's any need. Same with the little points where I spot welded it there and there. So, but overall, yeah, going alright. Now, I know it's ugly, and I know it's, I won't say poorly done, but certainly nowhere near, not even a novice level. This is like I have less than a week in of welding experience if you boil it down to hours. So if you're the kind of person that's watching this and, you know, as a professional, well, why would a professional be watching this? But, you know, someone that knows a lot better or knows more, I'm sure there's going to be one or two of you out there, and you're going to say, oh, that's fucking, you should have done this, that, or the other, or that's shite, that'll never, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to fucking hear it. So, pity about you. As far as I'm concerned, it looks fine to me. It's going to keep water out, hopefully. I might be eating my words. And once the seal and stuff goes over it, it'll be absolutely fine. So, now, I've cut out this guy. And again, same as the other side. It wasn't crazy rusty, like you probably could have patched that, but like, you know, all that shit is just gone. And like they always say, you're better off to just cut out as much as you can out of it anyway, or within reason anyhow. So the plan is, same as the other side, to cut out that same section in, or out of the donor piece, get it fitting nice, offer it all up, and just start tacking it in, I guess. I don't think I'll get it all done today, but we'll see. We'll try to at least anyway. But overall, I'm very happy with the progress today. Right, that's that section in. It's not great at all. I don't want to say I've messed it up, but you know, it wasn't great by any means. So I've just put a bit of, like, I had a really, see that ugly patch there? That's just where it got super thin. I think what happened was I just ground it back too far when I was trying to clean it up, and then it got super thin and there was a few little holes, and I tried to close them, and then that just blew through and all that. But either way, like I said with the other side, the light will cover most of that, and the seal will cover it, and a little bit of seam sealer over it or something, be fine. So while that's primed, I just put a bit, I'm going to clean it up. I'm going to paint the entire, like, inside the gutter, whatever you call it, because it's never been great since the car was painted. I guess it's just a case of, I never really told the guy, you know, make it absolutely perfect at the time. So it's time to remedy a lot of those smaller things. Like, I might end up painting the underside of the boot lid as well, we'll see. But for now anyway, I've ground back anywhere where there was rust and treated it. A few little bits in there. Then nothing has really gotten holes in it or anything. There is a little bit there, you can't really see the pinholes there. Oh yeah, you can see just right there, those two. I was gonna cut out a piece and just like tiger seal a piece down on top of it or something like. I don't. I think it's too close to the window to go cutting and to go welding and stuff like that. So I think I'm just gonna leave it. What I'll do when that's dried, when the rust converting stuff is dried, I'll just put a bit of primer over it. And I guess like a little bit of seam sealer, literally just put it between my two fingers and just run it, you know, real thin across those holes and hope for the best. If it's a case that down the line it falls apart and rusts through again, then I'll redo the whole thing and I'll take the window out and I'll do that section again then properly. But for now, I'm not too worried. Same over here, there was a couple of previous repairs up there that I never really tidied up properly. So all of that stuff there, little spot there, is just left to be treated. And I might leave it till this evening and maybe even overnight, I'm not sure. But once the rust converting stuff is dried, I'll send everything back. Excuse me, I'll prime it, give that a little rub, and then I'm not going, I don't know if I ever mentioned this in any of the videos, but the car is it's a Ford colour. I can't remember if it's frost white or frozen white. For a while I thought they were the same colour, but it is two different colours apparently. But either way, it won't matter because I'm going to mask all up along there, just in along that seam. So in the gutter and kind of down here, I'm going to go with, it's up on the shelf there somewhere, the same white that I painted the air tank with, which was a Halford's household appliance white. So it'll be matching your fridge and your tumble dryer and stuff, but I think it'll be fine. I don't think it'll be like a wildly different colour or anything, but it'll be funny to say the least. So we'll let that dry for a while. In the meantime, what I'm going to do, something this car never had was the proper aerial. Now it had the factory OE aerial, just a manual one, nothing special, nothing fancy, and it never had, this is the way it's supposed to go. It has that little collar which the aerial goes up through that here goes up against the inside of the body, then this guy goes down over that, and then there's supposed to be a fancy little nut that holds it together and that, but I never had that. So I just kind of cobbled it together with that and O-rings just to kind of give it a seal. Now it did work, and it never really leaked or anything, but a couple of weeks ago off the homie Dipsy in England, he had this, which is fully electric aerial. It'll automatically go up and down when you give power to the radio. Whereas you can see the plug right there, the aerial goes in there, and it has a little drain right there as well. Goes back in the exact same place where that went, just obviously there's more mounts. Now what was missing is this here. You can see, I won't try and kind of undo it now with one hand, but you can see it's kind of an off, it has like two little marks in it. There's supposed to be like a special tool for it or something, but I guess you could just close it or tighten it with a needle nose pliers. I don't think it'll be too big of a deal, so I'm going to stick that in now while I'm waiting for that stuff to dry. Double check that it works. Some of them have a little button in the center console that says half, where you can have the aerial at half mast. I might see about maybe making something that does that as well, but I'm not bothered whether it goes up or down at all, because I never really listen to the radio anyhow. But it might look cool, you know, as long as I'm just concerned about it keeping water out, you know. But that's the next job, and then we'll come back to painting the inside. Masked up and 2 coats of primer on on everything. Looking alright so far. A couple of runs in it here and there, but again, not too bothered. It looks pretty tidy. I mean, it looks good on camera. It looks, like I said earlier, like maybe a C plus in person. But no, it's grand to be alright. A few coats of white, and I have proper, it's up there somewhere, proper like automotive clear coat. That may or may not be necessary, I don't know, but I'll put it on anyway. But yeah, alright, so it's getting late in the day, so I think I'll probably leave that to dry overnight. And also I discovered I've only got something like maybe a half a can of the washing machine white left, so I'll get 1 or 2 of them tomorrow. So yeah, I think that'll do it for here, and we'll be back tomorrow. Okay, so it's tomorrow, but it's a really shitty day to be trying to paint something. It's wet and it's raining. It was sunshining 10 minutes ago, so I don't know, we'll see what happens. But anyway, I have 2 coats of white put on that now. I know it's kind of glary there, it's sort of hard to tell, but it looks alright. decent. I might go for one more maybe, but I'd say the 2 will be okay. I'm thinking about maybe while I'm at it painting the hinges and the underside of the boot, but I'm not entirely sure yet. There's another idea was to make like out of the 3mm, like the MDF stuff, kind of a panel that say would start there, you know, come up like that, follow along the shape that like on the underside, and then come back down and cover most of that, at least say, you know, like come up there, over, up along, something like that, and put like a Honda badge on it or the name of the car or something like that, but that's beside the point. But anyway, yeah, so a couple of coats of white on that. I will do the under, say from the tape line down with under seal, like once I have the arches and stuff done. There's no point doing just that bit now, but yeah, we'll see how it dries, or if it dries at all in weather like this today, then go over it with a bit of the clear. Now it looks really ugly in there. That's a combination of my below average welding and seam sealer, but again the light will cover most of it and the seal will cover the rest. So I guess we'll just be back in a couple of days if it's even dried at all. If I have to redo it, sand it back and redo it again, it's not the end of the world, but we'll try not to. But we'll be back soon. Right, there we go. 2 coats of lacquer, 2 coats of white, 2 coats of primer. I don't think there'll be any need to buff any of that. Like I said, once the seal goes on, like the light comes roughly as far as there, seal goes to about there, there's a big trim piece across there, all that. Realistically, all you'll ever see is a little bit in there. I'm a bit annoyed about that super obvious tape line there, but it's not the end of the world. You'll see that corner a little bit along there. I'm also cross about the fucking paint on the wire loom there, but that's not a big deal. I can buff that off or get that off or something. That corner will look fine, and then all down around there. So overall, I'm happy with how it went. It's definitely not as tidy as I'd like it to have been, but again, I'm only starting off doing this kind of stuff, so I'm not going to be too hard on myself. Like for example, like I said earlier, if that bit where I just put the little strip of littlest tiny speed of seal over it, if that rusts through, I'll have the window taken out and I'll do it properly. If any of my repairs along here starts to get shitty, like from that point to that point is a completely flat piece, so I could, for example, if I ever had to put out that entire piece all the way along, put in a flat piece and then a new lip at 90 degrees on it if all those repairs start to fail. Not the end of the world. This side I'm pretty pleased with. It could always be smoothed down a little bit more if it was something that you'd see a bit more often, I suppose, but not to worry. That I'm not pleased with, but it's more just that the seam sealer is messy. I could have, I don't know, you know, gotten a little bit of filler or even a little bead of white like silicone or something and tidied that up a little bit, which I suppose maybe I still could do. But anyway, not a big deal. As I said, I'll do the bottom half there with some under seal once the rear or the arches and stuff like that is done, which is the next step. So yeah, that's pretty much it. The next, I'm not going to bore you showing you putting the boot seal back on and the lights and shit like that, because there's no point even going that far, because I'll have to put the bumper on and all that, and there's no need to do that yet till the back arches are done. So I think for now that'll be it for this one. I'll be starting on the sills and the arches, I don't know, in the next week or so. I just saw in the last couple of days there that one of the bigger shows of the year got announced for the end of July, so I'd love to be able to have it done for the end of or middle of July, whenever it is. Fingers crossed, I guess. So I don't know, wish me luck.